This is an Inspector Calls video, and MX Ria has written to me with an essay. This is her title. How does Priestley present ideas about inequality in an Inspector Calls? And she's kindly posted the essay so that you can all learn from it. I'm going to take you through this. I don't know what exam board MX Ria is doing, but that really doesn't matter. Most exam boards have exactly the same idea about what A and A star looks like. So this is the essay, copy and paste it into Word. So in your beginning, you really need to anchor what Priestley's purpose is. So you're going to talk about how he presents inequality, but for the higher grades, you're going to say why. Whose opinion is he trying to change? So his audience in 1945, who he wants to vote Labour, to eject the Conservative government of Winston Churchill, and he's doing this because he wants a better future. This is what the soldiers have fought for, and a socialist future with a welfare state that looks after everybody, no matter their level of wealth or the wealth that they've been born into. And so you have to reference that throughout the essay. You're looking at Priestley's purpose, his point of view. So here we go. In An Inspector Calls, well, you always give capitals to the title of the play or the text, and you underline it. Priestley, make sure you know how to spell his name. Displays ideas about inequality continuously. Good. Inequality is presented through several ways, such as gender inequalities, inequality between younger and older generations, that should be, and inequality between upper and lower classes. So automatically, I can see that the endings are being left off words, and I suspect that this candidate has English as a second language. So they've got a very good vocabulary here, but they're not quite sure of the grammar. Now that won't affect you in the literature question. You're not marked on your grammar really in this question. However, it will influence the examiner's perception of how good you are at English. It'll influence them unconsciously. And if you're doing things like this, not underlining the title, not putting the capitals in, not spelling the name correctly, then they won't give you the benefit of the doubt. They'll just think you're not very good at English, which is a shame because a lot of this essay is really good and you're letting yourself down with silly inaccuracies that you don't need to make. Right, the fact that you've shown different sorts of inequalities in the beginning is a very good tactic. It shows the examiner that you've got lots of ideas, and it will also be something for you to refer back to. So this first paragraph is going to work as an essay plan, and you'll know as your later paragraphs develop that you'll keep referring back to those ideas. Well done with that. Right, the reason he has used these inequalities is because Priestley wants to show the audience the effect that humans physically made segregation. So that doesn't quite make sense. I think you mean man-made segregation, but you don't need to say that. You can just say segregation is the effects are causing on society. Well, yes, but why does he want to show those effects? It's because he wants things to change. Let's have a look. When the play was set in 1945, well done, these inequalities had newly just taken out of place, and that doesn't quite make sense. And Priestley does not want to go back to a society where these inequalities were taking over. Good. So you mean that he wants to change the society that existed between the First and the Second World War, and he wanted it to become a more equal one. And physically taking people's lives, so he shows us how negative these inequalities are. Now that's vague, physically taking people's lives. What precisely do you mean? Are you talking about Eva Smith's death? Are you talking about the death of soldiers in the Second World War? Be specific. Right, you've started with the first of your inequalities. Well done. Gender inequality is one of the themes that is being portrayed in an Inspector Calls. Don't forget the capitals and the underlining. And Priestley, don't forget the E, has made the audience realise this straight away. This is firstly visible when Priestley describes Sheila as a pretty girl in her 20s. Good. Every time you make a point, you want to link it to a quotation. This suggests that in 1912, not 1912s, that girls were expected to be nothing more than pretty. And also it portrays an image to the audience that women were seen as vulnerable human beings that could not be independent. Well, that's a good idea, but the vulnerability and the lack of independence isn't shown in that quotation. So either find a quotation that does show that, or refer to something in the play. For example, Mrs. Burling keeps ordering Sheila about in that first dining room scene, and she insists that Sheila leaves the room while the men are left to talk business. The fact that Sheila has been described as a girl suggests that women were not seen as fully grown until they were married. That's absolutely true, because she's a girl even though she's in her 20s. Priestley has done this intentionally, as he wanted the women in the audience of 1945 to be angered and not accept to be less inferior to males. Actually, inferior means less good, and so you don't need the word less there. So this is quite a good paragraph. You've made a couple of very good points. And now you're bringing back Priestley's purpose. Well done. Priestley does not want society to go back to how it was in 1912. It's worth pointing out that he sees that 1912 society has extended right up until 1939. You know, that's what's caused the Second World War. The First World War should have changed things, but didn't change things sufficiently. Another way gender inequalities are presented is through the way that women are, again, we'll get rid of less, inferior to males. This is shown when Sybil Burling says, "Now, Sheila, don't tease him. When you're married, you'll realise men with important work to do sometimes have to spend their time and energy on their businesses." A very relevant quotation, well done. This, we don't need to say it's a quote because the quotation marks tell us. This tells the audience that women are forced to be silent no matter how much they're suffering, as Sheila is told off for asking where her husband was all summer. This tells us that no matter what their husbands do, they will have to accept as women were subservient to males in the society. Absolutely, you could use the word patriarchy here. And if you want a further level of sophistication, Sybil Burling has had to overcome her own disappointment, but instead of protecting her daughter now from the disappointment that she had when she was young, she's continuing. In other words, the sexist society exists because the women with power don't fight it. They perpetuate that sexism. So the fact that Sybil says, "just as I have got used to it," shows the audience that maybe Sybil has given up trying and is accepting her fate. Absolutely spot on, well done. This gives females in the audience more courage to remain their equality. I think you mean retain or fight for their equality, and to gain equality for less unfortunate people, but that's not like Sybil. You mean, I hope, like Eva. This also brings back Priestley's socialist ideology, as he believes that everyone should be equal and so we should help each other as a society. Spot on. The quotation, "we are all of one body," will fit here exactly, and it's worth learning that one because it will fit absolutely any essay that possibly comes up. "We are all of one body" needs to be remembered and used. Another way Priestley displays inequality is through the class system. Priestley is a socialist and does not like the idea of class. In the play, he has created the Burlings to be the upper class and Eva Smith as the working class. This is very good. Examiners like you to realise that characters aren't real, but they are constructs, and they're constructed in order to give a particular point of view. And that's what your essay is doing here. We see the cruel behaviour towards Eva as the Berlins take advantage of their wealth. This is displayed when Sheila gets Eva Smith sacked from Millwards. If they didn't get rid of that girl, I'd never go near that place again. This quote gives the audience a negative view on the class system and makes them realise how selfish it makes people be. Yes, that's true. Although that's not the best quotation. This quotation just tells us that she got Eva sacked, and you haven't analysed the language in it, so it's not a really useful quotation, unlike the other ones that we've had. Another way Priestley represents the class system is by making the working class have no identity. This is a very good paragraph. The name Smith is a common, well-known name, and almost like Eva had no identity and has no right to have identity, as she does not have wealth. Also, the fact that Eva Smith does not appear on stage shows the audience that lower class people are not able to fight their cause and have the rights they want. In the play, we get to know the vulnerability the class system has on people. So that's a bit clumsy. We get to know the vulnerability forced on the working class by the class system, and how the upper class think they can take advantage of this. This is shown when we later on discover that Eric and Gerald have been with Eva. This is casual language, have had a relationship with Eva, and all for one reason. Well, you mean sexual. So have had a relationship with Eva and exploited her sexually. Be as specific as possible, don't be general. Here is another really good paragraph. Eva had changed her name to Daisy Renton. The fact that her name is Daisy portrays her treatment. This is because daisies are easily picked. This doesn't belong to anyone, by the way, so it's just IES, no apostrophe. Picked out the way she was picked out from the brothel. Well, she wasn't actually in a brothel, she was at the Palace Bar, so be factual, by both Gerald and Eric. The fact that daisies are common may represent how a lot of working class females have to suffer with this treatment regularly. Well done. Also, daisies are picked out and normally the roots are torn away from the daisies. This relates to how all lower class people have to move away from their homes, for example rural areas, and migrate to cities. And this shows how they are pulled away from their identity and lose their roots, all because they're helpless. And that's very well developed. You need to link that perhaps to the inequality of the class system, which shows how they're exploited when they get to the cities. Right. Finally, inequality is represented through younger and older generations. That should be at the start of the play. In the stage direction, it states Arthur Burling at one end, his wife at the other, Eric downstage, and Sheila and Gerald upstage. This instantly shows to the audience that the family are not united, as they seem to be separated in different units. It tells the audience from the very beginning that younger and older generations have very different ideas and viewpoints. Well, that's fine, but you've got to go on to say what those viewpoints are. This is portrayed when the inspector's arrival takes place, as Eric and Sheila fully take responsibility for the irrational decisions they have made. That requires a quotation, I think, here, but you'll get away with that. However, the older generation disagree and are not taking responsibility. The famous younger generation who know it all. This quote, said by Burling, shows to the audience the sarcasm of his tone and how wrong he believes the younger generation are. It also suggests that whatever the younger generation seem to have an opinion on, it's judged, we're not by, judged and mocked, and there's the by the older generation, and almost made to seem like a children's game. This actually is a weak part of your conclusion, because you've not linked it back to Priestley's purpose. Why is he trying to show that the younger generation are treated with sarcasm? Well, presumably he wants to show that they were denied power between the war, the First World War and the Second World War, by their parents, And so even though their views might have changed, they weren't allowed to have any influence. But 1945 is different, and the younger generation can now have that influence. You could make some more sophisticated points about the ending if you've watched my videos. I'm not going to go into all that. I'm going to tell you what my gut reaction is to the grade here. You have a quotation in virtually every paragraph. Your paragraphs link really clearly as an argument, so you're building a point of view. You do consider Priestley's point of view, and you only bring in the context in order to explore that point of view. So this will be at least a middle B, I would think. It's also over 900 words, so a fantastic effort for the exam, which means you've made a lot of points. So I hope that helps. And watch my videos if you want some more sophisticated points. The ones that are made best are the ones about the characters' names, and they're much closer to A grade in the range of ideas. So good luck with the exam, and if you'd like any more videos, don't forget to subscribe.